Welcome, everyone, to Stan Morris Field in Wayne, Nebraska. It's time for National STOL at the Wayne America Fly-In. It's the National STOL Circuit's first ever appearance here. All told, 42 STOL pilots from all over the country have flown here for the rare opportunity to fly in both of the leading STOL competitions, that's STOL Drag and National STOL. Want to take a look at your sectional today? It's KLCG, that's Lima, Charlie, Golf. We're competing today on runway 13. It's 2,070 feet of dusty turf in good condition. That's 120 feet wide. Weather this weekend looks good but challenging with gusty crosswinds in the forecast. An incredibly stacked field this weekend, particularly in the touring and sport classes. And there's lots of STOL legends here this weekend. Steve Henry, Hal Stockman, Warren Grobelar, Jeff Pohl, Austin Clemens, Jaden Newman, Kyle Bushman, and more. They're all here. Keep an eye on Dan Reynolds, fresh off his impressive numbers at Valdez. And also, watch for hometown favorite Colin Kaniva to put in some real work. He knows the fields and sandbars around here, but will it help him on the turf? We're just about cleared for takeoff. The pattern is clear. The line is painted. Let's kick this thing off. That's right, everybody. It is time to get pumped, get excited for the finals here at Wayne America Fly-In for National STOL. I'm looking at the beautiful crowd braving the winds right now. They're all ready to go. Everybody wave. We can see you. For the viewers at home, wave to the cameras. That's right. We're ready for some awesome STOL action. If you didn't know, my name is Ryan Dombrowski. You can find me all over the internet as Super Arrow. And I'm excited to bring this to you from the studio, but in the Wayne, at Wayne, my good friend Corey Robin is on the ground, ready to go and tell us more about what's happening play by play. And we are back here in Wayne, Nebraska for Wayne America Fly-In with National STOL, and I am looking at a picture of a giant National STOL tent. And I would just encourage all of you in the crowd in Wayne to go check out that tent. Check out all of the merch inside. We've got neck gaiters to help keep the sun off the back of your neck or the front of your neck or whatever part of your neck needs protecting. But there's other stuff like the Wayne America Fly-In custom shirt just for this event to prove that you were here, that you saw this incredible STOL action in person. So we really encourage you to go check that out. And if you're watching online, go check that out at nationalstol.com. You can get all of your exciting merch there. While we are talking, maybe just to set this up a little bit, let's talk about one of our sponsors quick with National STOL, because you're going to see this propeller, this Duke propeller, Hal Stockman competing in the Unlimited class next, running a Duke propeller. Duke propeller offering a complete range of aeronautical carbon-made propellers for light sport airplanes. And as the company's first North American subsidiary, Duke Propellers USA is conveniently located on Sebring Airport in Florida. So go check out Duke Propellers. They're designed in France, assembled in the USA, and you're going to see one run in just a few minutes in the Unlimited class. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what that means, but first, why don't we run to a video that explains who some of the pilots in the Unlimited class are.
Hi, I'm Dan Reynolds. I'm flying this Chinook. Valdez Special is the brand. I designed it, built it, and just trailed it up from Texas. It's been down here. I've been going to a lot of the National STOL, so this is on my way home. So here I am in Nebraska, first time. Excited to be here, seeing lots of friends, and it's all fun. It's nice to have good competition, and you never know who's going to win, and that's what's fun about it.
If you look at him and you see him tilt his head and he's really looking at things and he starts touching things with his hands, that means he's really going to go flying. So He didn't say he's gonna go flying, but I feel it. Reading his body language, feeling the vibrations in the air, that he's probably gonna go test this out. That, and he had me put slats and fuel in it.
And Gen 1, she'll line you up, but I'm going to give you the go when we're ready, okay?
Watch for windy days just to go out to do crosswind landings, but it's a little different when you're at one of these. Same prop I had in Florida. We couldn't run it on our 4-cylinder, but the 3-cylinder Yamaha turns slower, so we can get away with running a longer prop. It's a different engine. It's kind of the same but different. It's just a built-up one. But we're not running any more power. We're just farther away from where it could get risky, you know, for wanting to break something.
So that was the Unlimited class, and man, I get so pumped about the Unlimited class, and here's why. It's literally unlimited. We can kind of do whatever we want as long as it's legal. As long as it's legal, pilots can run exactly what they brung. You saw in that package or heard in that package, you know, Steve Henry massively modifying that airplane, constantly improving and changing things, and really like putting things to the edge with just changing to a new engine just to get a little more horsepower out of it, or changing to a different prop, a longer prop. All of those things are happening, and that's happening across every aircraft in this class. So yeah, anything goes on the aircraft as long as it's obviously FAA legal. And the only other big requirement is that you got to wear a helmet in this class, because we're pushing performance to the edge. When we talk about that performance, let me give you a little brief about what happened yesterday in the Unlimited class. We had Dan Reynolds. You're not even going to believe this. In qualifying, Dan Reynolds in the Chinook, a combined score of 37 feet. In second place out of qualifying was Steve Henry, who you just heard in the package, a combined score of 59 feet. He took off yesterday, folks. He took off in 6 feet. That's insane. He scratched on that one, but it was insane. He took off in 6 feet. And Hal Stockman in third place with a combined score of 109 in that Rands S7S. So we're actually going to see them in the reverse order that I just explained them. Hal's up first, followed by Steve, followed by Dan. You've got Hal from Nevada, Steve from Idaho, and Dan Reynolds from Dawson City in Canada. So it's going to heat up pretty crazy. We know that the weather's getting a little squirrely. We know that the conditions have proven to be very challenging today, but you have 3 different approaches to the national STOL, or the STOL problem, right? You've got Steve with the aggressive horsepower and just, I mean, his wings. If you looked at his wings, it's just like everything's all custom figured out. You've got Dan Reynolds coming in with lightness and a pusher prop, right? That pusher prop famous for, at least in this year, the classic lawn dart landing at Sun and Fun this year. He just kind of literally just poked the nose right into the ground to get a really short score. We saw him land yesterday, his best landing, his best run, that 37-foot run, 17 feet for landing, and that is the length of his airplane. He landed in the same length of the airplane, the same distance as his airplane is long. And then Hal Stockman, I don't know if any of you are car people, but sometimes I think of Hal Stockman as the Lotus, right? He's adding lightness. He's always being super light with his aircraft, making sure that it is as efficient as possible, adding horsepower this year. And it's been exciting to see him come back now at Wayne America. We missed him at Outlaw STOL, kind of a classic Hal Stockman story. He's the most famous man not on the internet. Classic Hal Stockman story. He had an engine out on his way to Outlaw Stoll, landed on the side of the road on his way. And here we are just a few weeks later, engine put totally back together, airplane up and running, no issues. So kind of a master mechanic, master plane builder there in Hal Stockman. That's true of all three of these gentlemen, but just really kind of a classic thing. It's funny, at Outlaw Stoll, we actually joked that we thought Hal would just show up midday through through qualifying through the first day of competition with that plane put back together, that he just, that he could just do it on the side of the road there. So that's who you've got stacked up in the ultimate class, the unlimited class here at Wayne America. Corey, wondering if you have any insight into hanging around the campfire with these folks last night.
You know, I did have an opportunity to talk to both Hal Stockman and Dan Reynolds about their performance yesterday, and let's talk about Hal Stockman a little bit. He had his aircraft actually configured for STOL drag, no slats. His tail wheel, he normally takes that off and puts a little sled in the back, gives him a little bit of angle of attack advantage. Plus, he was a little more heavy than he likes to be. Today, he's going to be set up for STOL. So I'm expecting to see his numbers come down quite a bit and be more competitive with Steve and Dan. Now let's talk about Dan Reynolds. He is a fierce competitor, and I was very impressed yesterday. This is the first time I've ever seen him with my own eyes in person. And he's working hard in the cockpit, so something to watch for the viewers online and in person for all these competitors, but especially Dan because of his unique characteristics of his aircraft. He works very hard in that cockpit. You can see him moving that elevator, especially in the control panel. He's moving that elevator feet. He's just really just jerking that thing around quite aggressively. And you'll see that especially in his when he comes across the line in his landings. It's very impressive to watch how much control inputs he puts in. He has a record, a personal record of I think 9 feet, or either it's 9 or 6 feet. I kind of get those two numbers confused in my brain when I store it in my meat computer. But he really wants to break that record today, and if the winds will cooperate, we're going to see some absolutely ridiculous flying, because these guys, after talking to them, they're all going to be pushing. Speaking of pushing, the unique design of the Chinook, you can see that the propeller's behind the wing. I was talking to Dan about that, and I said, hey, what does that do? Because I've never flown a pusher myself. And he said, you know what the beauty about it is, if I want a little bit extra controllability because the propeller's right in front of his tail surface, when you're slow, your primary controls become your rudder and your elevator. If he wants a little bit extra control, all he has to do is give it a little burp of the power, and he gets immediate fast control response. So he's got a very, very unique and capable aircraft out there. You can see the wing walker helping him make that right turn onto the course here. And so I'm really excited to see everything that's about to go down here in our unlimited class, starting here with Hal Stockman.
And Stockman off short, and it's interesting because it looks like he did some of the modifications, right? He did some of the modifications that he was talking about. He's got the little tail sled. He was digging up dirt on his way to the line, but I'm not seeing slats on that aircraft, so he's still set up maybe for STOL drag in that regard.
Yep, absolutely. And Hal, I did talk to him about the slats, and he just left him at home. He got a little bit saturated with his workload in rebuilding his aircraft. He wanted to bring extra tools and things just because he didn't have the confidence, so he left the slats home. He didn't want to go that slow all the way down here to Wayne, Nebraska. And a ridiculous takeoff here from Steve Henry, as per usual. So exciting. Hal Stockman throwing down a 23-foot takeoff with Steve Henry just edging him out with a 19-foot takeoff. And here comes Dan Reynolds in the Chinook.
This is incredibly tight already.
Watch what I said. Watch his hand, his right hand there. How extreme those control inputs are. He goes all the way, the full forward deflection on this elevator, and then all the way to full aft deflection. That's insane. As Hal Stockman rolls around and is on his short final.
That was a 48-foot takeoff for Dan Reynolds. It felt like he had to work a little harder than normal, so I'm sure we'll see some improvements there. Here's Hal now, right on the line, just killing the motor.
Absolutely. Great job by Hal Stockman there. And, you know, these wind conditions definitely playing a part in these takeoffs and landings. For Dan's takeoff, it dang near went completely calm.
I love aviation on the YouTube comment saying if Steve gets too much of a nose wind, he has to land in reverse. And honestly, I think that's true of all three of these competitors.
Oh, absolutely. And here's Steve Henry, the Rock, the thing we bang our heads against to try and beat him. He just put in a fantastic landing performance. But Hal Stockman, again, doing so good. His score going 23 feet for his takeoff and then 76 feet for his landing. I know he can shave off some distance there. But Steve Henry, one of his longer landings there at 48 feet, keeping things really competitive between the first two competitors. But here comes Dan Reynolds. Now, Dan's takeoff was as long as Steve's landing. So let's watch here, because this Chinook's specialty is his landing. So if he can get this thing in under 19 feet, he will be in first place.
I'm just holding my breath now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, watch his right hand as he works for a living here. He's looking for sub 19 feet, and holy smokes, that was pretty dang close.
And it's funny because my initial reaction when the nose comes down like that for him is to be like, uh-oh, but I don't know if it would be a problem. He just tap his nose on the grass.
Seen it. Yeah, we've seen it before at Sun and Fun. 7 feet for Dan Reynolds, yeah.
Dan Reynolds.
You know, Ryan, I love how we say the same thing a lot of the time. It's just so much fun broadcasting with you, my friend. It's just so great. We're just on the same page. It's just a great time.
It is so tight, Corey, right now. It's already, I mean, we're one round in, and I don't believe we've seen the best performance from any of these competitors yet. I think they all have shorter distances in them, pending the winds and what the winds do. So it is so tight right now. I mean, you're talking about 67 feet for Steve Henry, 75 feet for Dan Reynolds. You were right, shorter landing there, not quite 19 feet, but we know we did 17 feet yesterday. And Hal Stockman, 99 feet combined. That's superhero level landing distances, just so we're clear.
Yeah, and Hal Stockman is just so much fun to watch. You're looking at a guy who builds airplanes in his basement and modifies them for the community. Just a fantastic individual. It's so much fun to see him to start to get sponsors and get the recognition that he's deserved for so long. But let's watch this man. I want to listen to this takeoff, actually. Let's all be quiet and listen. I almost dropped an expletive on the air. That was so impressive. Unbelievable takeoff from Steve Henry, coming in at just 10 feet. Wow.
10 feet. He's shaving them off. You know what? Remarkable to me, too, is he's got those small, knobby, like ATV tires on the aircraft right now. I think he had them locked. I think those tires, those brakes were locked.
Yeah, I didn't see them roll either, and just that's a testament to how amazing the thrust capability on Yeehaw 8 is. You know, I haven't talked to him about the horsepower. I've almost stopped asking Steve questions because every time I ask him, it's more and more and more. So Dan Reynolds putting together a great takeoff there as well. I did sense that the wind kind of is not giving Dan a good day here because he had a little bit longer takeoff there than I think he would like to see.
Well, he did shore it up a lot, though, compared to the first takeoff, down from 48 to 29. So within a foot of Hal Stockman there.
And speaking of Hal Stockman, he's in the flare. Perfect landing for Hal Stockman, somewhere around 50, 55 feet or so, I'd say. So he's going to come down a little bit on his score, hopefully. And here comes Steve Henry. His signature low approach, just absolutely rock solid on the controls. It looks like the winds have actually calmed down quite a bit, so he does not have that headwind going to help him keep this short. So it's going to be all about aircraft and pilot performance.
Just kicking up the dirt, and he stopped short.
It's just
But is it
so
short
impressive.
enough?
So impressive to see this. Now, I know some of us that have been doing this for a while, we see these aircraft land in these ridiculously short distances, but this is a feat of aeronautical experience and skill combined with engineering prowess. It's a testament to Steve Henry and his crew chief Josh and their entire team. It's fantastic to see. And now let's look at something absolutely insane. We're watching the Chinook come in at what seems to be a standstill. His landing is his specialty. With that 32-foot takeoff, I think he can shave a little bit of distance off of his landing and get a little bit closer to Steve Henry, if not overtake him. Oh,
a scratch
pushing
for Dan
a little
Reynolds,
bit
and
hard there.
actually also a scratch for Steve Henry on that last round. After review, he was about an inch or two before the line, which that would have been a 54-foot combined run for
holy cow!
For
That
Steve Henry.
that definitely makes a difference for sure. So the only one in that second round that was able to improve upon his score was Hal Stockman, coming in at 89 feet combined, nipping on the heels at Dan Reynolds in second place right now with 75 feet, and close contention here with Steve Henry, 67 feet. So we're looking at only a few feet difference between all three competitors. So it comes down to this, the last round. Boy, this is happening so fast right now that I just can't even keep up.
What's exciting about this class in particular is that I feel like this class breeds innovation more than anything right now in aviation. I mean, we joked yesterday, Corey, about when is someone going to put JATO bottles on. Well, maybe someone will. Here goes Hal. Wheels were not moving.
Yeah, I noticed that. I saw that one right wheel because that's the only one we have access to see. But that one right wheel rolled one rotation and then locked up. I don't know exactly what happened there, but that had to have cost him a little bit of distance. 61 feet, definitely his longest takeoff of today. Let's watch Steve Henry.
Winds are just totally calm right now.
I think his wastegate kind of opened up on him there or something. Not quite sure what happened. A little bit of an engine burble for Steve Henry. Wisely keeping it on the ground. Anytime you notice anything you don't like going on, it's always a good decision to just, you know what, let's just keep her on the ground, go around and try again. Good decision by Steve Henry because we all did hear that happen. Maybe the heat, maybe, you know, we'll see what's going on. We'll see what Steve is able to do here. But he's
And
just
race
pulling
control
right
is
around,
gonna
so he's
let him
obviously confident in
go
his
again.
airplane. What did you say, Ryan?
Yeah, sorry about that. Race Control just said that they are going to let him reattempt the takeoff. Here's Dan Reynolds now.
Wow, same thing with Dan
same thing.
Reynolds. What is going on in the unlimited class? You know, maybe they're leaning out. Maybe they're pushing really hard. That peak EGT is always something you want to have on your takeoffs. But here goes Steve Henry. I got to imagine that both Steve and Dan are pushing very, very hard right now. Smokes, he kind of worked it out there, didn't he?
Yeah, he figured it out.
I don't know. What distance was that? It seemed to just immediately leave the ground. 12-foot takeoff from Steve Henry, ladies and gentlemen. That's just insane. And so the race director...
By the way, we got to hear some cheering for a 12-foot takeoff.
No doubt about it. Unbelievable. That is just fantastic. So before Dan takes off, we're going to recover Hal Stockman first. So Hal's going to go ahead and come in and land and finish his performance today, his competition. And with his takeoff, you know, he's just in practice mode right now. Unless he puts in a really, really good score, I'd say something around 30 feet, he's not going to necessarily improve upon his score of 89 combined. Maybe 20 feet. He needs 20 feet. Come on, buddy.
Ooh, right on the line there.
Very good landing for Hal Stockman. Such a fun performer to watch. Very close. I think he was brushing the tops of the blades of grass, but I don't know if it's a scratch until you make contact.
Here's Dan Reynolds now. We'll find out about that in a minute. Dan off short.
And you know, I noticed Dan was not happy with that takeoff. As soon as he rotated, I watched him shaking his head no. He did not like that. Visibly upset with that takeoff.
As an update, that landing by Hal was considered a scratch, so 89 will be his best score. Here's Steve Henry now.
And with that takeoff from Dan Reynolds being a little bit on the long side, 48 feet, that matches his first takeoff. It has to be all about that 67-foot combined score and seeing if Steve Henry can improve upon that right here. And it looks like he did. Wow.
So that was a 12-foot takeoff for Steve Henry and a 31-foot landing. So getting a little
amazing.
safer distance for Dan now. He's got 43 feet combined for Steve. So Dan's got his work cut out for him on this last landing.
Well, not only does he have his work cut out for him, it's actually impossible for Dan to beat Steve at this point because Dan's takeoff was longer than Steve's combined score.
Well, I guess if you do the math, fine.
I math occasionally. But look at the impressive performance of Dan's aircraft. I like to point out his right hand and his rudder, how hard this guy works to get done what he gets done. Look at that.
Oh, it was so short, too.
Great landing from Dan there. Holy smokes. What a fun, unlimited class. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give these performers a round of applause. How fantastic was that? We're seeing really amazing aviation right here in Wayne, Nebraska, brought to you by National STOL.
That's right, Corey. I mean, talking about the innovation, think about those sandbars we were talking about before. You can land on a pretty small sandbar in one of those airplanes if you're one of those pilots, so let's be clear. A lot of expert piloting happening there as well.
And you know, some of these guys are an example. You know, I can't think of a better platform to insert different types of things into different locations. You know, whether it be critical services into remote villages and towns in Alaska or in the bush anywhere in the world, or even the military applications of these bush planes, I got to imagine that the military might be watching right now and thinking, I wonder if our special forces could learn a little bit from the likes of Steve Henry. Maybe we need to look into that. I think that there's a lot of potential with these new technologies that these guys are putting out there.
It has been so intense, so many scratches, so many heartbreaks, so many upsets in the last final round. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you very much to all of you in the stands. Thank you very much to all of you viewing at home. And thank you very much to, you can see the credits rolling right here, the crew, the volunteers, everyone who makes this possible, including all of the sponsors that we've been talking about all day. Congratulations to the competitors. What an exciting time. Corey, I can't thank you enough for joining me on the mic this weekend. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you?
You can find me all over social media, but primarily on YouTube. My handle on social media is Fly Corey. Thank you so much for coming out. Take care of yourselves.
Well, I can't wait for that, everybody. My name is Ryan Dombrowski. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. You can find me at Super Arrow on YouTube and Super Arrow Flight on Instagram. Would love to see you there. Come chat about STOL and everything that you love about aviation. Would love to keep the conversation going. We'll see you at the next STOL event coming up in just, I think in July, right? Minnesota? Minnesota's coming up. And then obviously Sodbusters just before Oshkosh. So it's going to be a wild and crazy season. The summer's just getting started. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.